All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Man, oh man, are we excited about tonight's call. This is one that we've been just ready for the past several days now. We've been promoting it like crazy all over our social media accounts, our different group me's, our texting groups that we've got. And we want to make sure that we're here to learn. So let's do a quick notebook check. Everybody throw your notebooks up. Let's see if we're ready to take notes. Hey guys, and also if you can turn on your cameras, we want to see who we're talking to, guys. Turn on your cameras, right? It is going to be an incredible webinar tonight. So far, I'm looking at participants. We've got 223 people on the call right now. And I am more excited than ever before. This is a special guest speaker we're having. We had the chance to meet Mr. Orender many years ago. I think we were district leaders. We're going to see if we can pull up a picture here before the call's over. But we've got a picture where we're on stage with him. We were getting an award up on stage. And here we are several years later with this man is a living legend in Primerica. Mr. Orender is just, he doesn't know this, but he's actually ran a lot of our Saturday trainings. We go on YouTube, we press play, and you've ran our training, Mr. Orender. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. This is a wonderful evening.
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that where you're located, it's about 8 p.m. now, right?
Correct.
Awesome. We got people from everywhere right now plugging in. I mean, we got California and Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Texas, New Mexico, Florida, New York, Virginia. We even got Virginia people in the house, right? But Mr. Orender, we're super excited to have you on. The stage is yours. I mean, whatever you can share with us, we'd love to hear it. And then if you're okay with it at the end, we'll do a quick Q&A session. Is that okay with you, sir?
Oh, that'd be marvelous. You know, I don't know where people are right now in their life, and you're going to get out of Primerica what you want. And if you're not getting out of Primerica what you think you want, you got to change your thinking. And you know, my background's identical to everybody on this call. None of us come from a real success background. We landed here. Someone gave us a call. I had a call from a woman named Virginia Carter, and I knew her socially. And I was working for a steel company in Pittsburgh. I'm originally from Illinois, Chicago. My wife's from Springfield, Illinois. Julie Seaman is my nephew, Tony Seaman. So there's a bit of a relative there. And I was called because I wanted to make more money. Let me get frank with you right off the top. If you're not here to make money, what are you doing here? You know, because all we have to offer is to make money. And the purpose of any business is to fund, F-U-N-D, your ideal life. And I came here to make money because I was tired of being broke. Tired of being, you know, broke meaning living paycheck to paycheck, eking out in existence, and going nowhere. You know, my job in the steel company, I was in steel sales, but my income was dependent upon what the steel workers negotiated. So I never really could create my own income, Alex. And so I got a call from a woman named Virginia Carter, you know, the legendary Virginia Carter, one of the original 7 RVPs. And we were at Waddell & Reed. So that tells you how long I've been with the company. And I met her at a Denny's restaurant. I remember going there, and I already had made up my mind and wasn't going to be interested. Isn't that interesting? Yet I wanted more. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. All these things. Everybody thinks the other guy, they got all their acts together. 87% of the people in America hate their jobs. You think they like it. That's why you don't recruit them. In fact, a lot of you folks on this call would hope they would recruit you to their company because you think they got it all together, but that's not the case. And so I met with her, and I just gave it a try. I didn't give it a try out of desperation. I gave it a try because it's not wise to do nothing and hope it gets better. And so I came in, and my first month, Alex, you're not going to believe this, I didn't do anything. I'm like 98% of all the people on this call. I want it to be better, but I didn't want it to do anything to make it better. I wanted to win the lottery. I wanted to be discovered and be paid a lot of money, and people say, man, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Here's a lot of money. That didn't happen to me. I came in, I kind of putzed around for about a month, and then I got a phone call from my wife's uncle, and I owed him $4,000. Now, $4,000 back then, that's like $12,000 today, maybe 15. And I didn't have the money to pay him back because the bonus didn't come in from the steel company because somebody was always on strike. And I remember, Alex, how humiliated I was. And I think this is very key. There has to be a trigger event in your life that says, I've had it. I've had it. I don't want to live my life like this anymore. And not one more second, I'm going to do something to turn it around. If after this call, your folks don't go out and it's only 6 o'clock there and we'll finish it in an hour. If you don't get off this call and have 3 Zooms tonight, you haven't made up your mind yet. I mean, the job isn't to get this, learn it, digest it, and think about it. If this doesn't move you to start changing your life, getting out of debt, making money, accumulating wealth, and for the next 2 or 3 years, committing your life to getting financially in great shape and having it over with. And so I remember I got the phone call, and I tell people I was washing my car on a Saturday afternoon. I had about $17,000 of consumer debt, which was like $50,000 today. And I said, you see anything strange in that? And they go, no. It's hilarious. I had $50,000 in debt. Today's not. What should I have been doing on a Saturday afternoon? How much debt should you have before it finally says, I should be doing something about it? And I tell people who are Christians, how much debt does God want you to have? 0. But, you know, it's amazing how they, oh, yeah, and they go about their life because they, that's one aspect of the Bible they don't want to talk about. And so, though I'm a Christian, so I know exactly, I've been there. I got moved, Alex, to do something. I called Virginia up and said, I'm ready to go to work. I want to make some money. And I went out my first 6 weeks, Alex, and I paid him back that $4,000 in 6 weeks part-time. Changed my life. I finally felt what it was like to be out of debt, at least starting to make a mark. And every time I paycheck, Alex, I took that whole paycheck part-time, paid off my debt. In my first 6 months, I made over $17,000 part-time, and it paid off that $17,000 of debt. My life has never been the same since. I got the taste of living a life that no one on this planet lives, but except for a few. Everyone else struggles financially, paycheck to paycheck, eking out an existence. I read an article one time where a woman said, we're living paycheck to paycheck, but we're doing all right. You see the insanity of that. You're here to make so much money. You're out of debt in the next year, at least 6 months to a year. And in the next 5 to 10 years, have $1 million cash put away. Bold. Turned a lot of people off with that, Alex. You're going to see a lot of people leaving right now because there's a huge degree of personal responsibility that's necessary to make the decision to get and be out of debt. And so I went full time, and I made like $56,000. Alex, I was making $13,000 a year at the steel company back then, and I made $56,000 within 3 years. I moved to Dallas, Texas. You know that story. I had to move here. I wasn't from Dallas, didn't know anybody in Dallas. My first month here, Alex, I recruited 10 directs. Oh. And from that, I exploded. And I had a wife, I had a 5-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and a 6-week-old daughter when we moved here. And a very heroic wife. You think I'm heroic, you'd have seen my wife. She trusted me. We believed in art. and we began the insurance wars. My first month in Dallas, I made $5,000. I'm sorry, my second month. And that was in September. And in January to January, Alex, I made 180, 240, 350. I'm sorry, 300. Back then, Alex, 300, we were $1 million earners back then in today's dollars with no bonuses, no mutual funds, no big rollovers, none of that other stuff. And I came in my 8th year here, 9th year, I became a cash millionaire. Not a Primerica $1 million earner. I mean, a cash millionaire. Back then, can you imagine how much money it was way back then, $1 million? All because of overrides. And I'm here to encourage everyone to really see the Primerica system for what it is. But first, you have to understand, Ray Kroc, the founder, not the founder of McDonald's, but you know that story. He said success doesn't come from hard work or getting an education. All the stuff we are told it comes from. Mm-hmm. It comes from being at the right place, at the right time, with the right system. Mm. And if I were to ask people what the Primerica system is, most people would get it wrong. You're here to build an RVP factory, not to be an RVP only, not to have a nice little $40,000, $50,000 base shop, not to get the ring, but to build an RVP factory where for the next 10 to 15 years, you're producing 2 to 3 direct RVPs every year from replacement. And that's our system. And we have to remember that when you think you're blessed, you start wanting to bless other people. When people don't recruit, that tells me they don't think it's a blessing. Mm. They think someone got them into something and they're trying to get other people into something, but they don't see it as the blessing that it really is. When you feel blessed, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, you want to bless other people. And so I was there on February the 10th of 1977 when we left Waddell and Reed to form our company, A.O. Williams. And on February 14th, Alex, it was in my home outside of Atlanta, Georgia. We had Virginia Carter's daughter was getting married, so we had a reception for her. And Art and a bunch of the guys came. And we all said, Art, what are we going to call this company? What are we going to call this? We didn't have a name. Wow. And, you know, we were all throwing out names. And one of my guys, Art Burgess, Art confirmed it the last time we said. He told me the story about Art saying, Art, why don't we name it A.L. Williams, Arthur Liddell Williams. So that's how the name came about, A.L. Williams. On February the 14th, 1977. And as you know, the history, Art Williams took 85 people. And in 12 years, Alex, that turned to 250,000 code numbers. That's like taking Primerica today and getting the 100,000 people, and in the next 12 years, getting tens of millions of code numbers. Mm. That's the growth that is still available if people want to run an RVP factory and build something that'll outlast them. But first of all, we have to understand, and I think, and it's sad in America today, how people, they don't think this is a great country. Of course, they've never lived anyplace else. Mm-hmm. I've got this one guy, he lives in San Diego. His name is Leo Sonkin. Leo Sonkin has a first generation named Asad Faraj, second generation named Ian Pruckner. Mm-hmm, yeah. And Leo makes $400,000 a year, hadn't worked in 15, 18 years. Wow. Leo is from Russia. Get him on a conversation. Is this a great country or what? Wow. I don't see anyone immigrating to Russia for a better life. Huh. See, but not only is this a great country, but in my opinion, this is the fastest, quickest, easiest way to get wealthy in America. People say, well, Bill, it's not fast, quick, or easy. No, but it's the fastest, quickest, easiest way you'll ever see, and I ever saw, because I got wealthy in an 8-year period. Now, you can too, but we have to remember being at the right place at the right time cannot be just an interesting fact. Most people on this call are just happy to be here. But when you start understanding what we've been blessed with, and Alex, if you can put that first PowerPoint up on the harvest.
Yes, sir.
I want you to imagine, Carol, I went fly fishing with my boys up to Idaho. And you know what Idaho is famous for? Potatoes. And we drove to the location where we dropped off a boat called a float boat. We floated down the river catching fish. And the man said, "This is interesting now. Look to your right, look to your left, as far as the eye can see. Look ahead as far as your eye can see for the next 25 miles. All these potatoes you see growing are McDonald's." I heard this the other day and I couldn't believe it. The reason McDonald's doesn't sell onion rings because they can't make enough onions. I heard this the other day too. The #1 toy retailer in the United States is McDonald's. Because why? Happy Meals. The point of the matter is, when you have a harvest in front of you, imagine sitting there, crops ready to be harvested, Alex. You didn't have to plant them. You didn't have to water them. You didn't have to irrigate them. You didn't have to fertilize them. All you have to do is get all you want to get. How much would you want? The next slide, please, Alex. Here's the harvest. There's 120 million families in America that have a $400,000 per family insurance shortfall. One of my guys went out one day. I challenged him. I said, "You can make money just asking people, can I quote you on an extra $100,000 of life insurance?" He went out and one day wrote 3 life apps. Everybody needs more life insurance. We think they need an FNA. We think they need to evaluate. If we just quoted people an extra 100,000, you'd be running an app a day. Again, because 120 million families don't have enough life insurance. Group insurance, less than 2% of all group insurance pays off because the people are not there. New families are being brought into our lives every day, getting married, having children that need life insurance. I stood up in front of 1,000 people, Alex, and I said, how many people in this room know of a person that sells life insurance for a living? Just personal life insurance, not auto and home, not casualty. 5 hands went up. There's no one buying any life insurance because no one has anyone they know that sells it. So therefore, 120 million families, you can throw a rock and go up to the nearest person and say, "You're the first person after the rock. You probably need more life insurance, don't you?" Because that's how many people need it. Plus the second one, the harvest, $65 trillion in generation to generation wealth transfer. Now, Alex, the federal deficit is $25 trillion. All America government owes $25 trillion. We've got $65 trillion coming guaranteed into our industry in the next 35 years, guaranteed. Wow. And let me give you an idea what $1 trillion is. If you had 1 million homes in your city, all worth $1 million each, that's $1 trillion. You take a look at the top 100 companies in the United States, you add up all their sales together, and it's not $1 trillion. The point is, there's rollovers coming, 401ks rollovers. The world changed in 1986 when the first 401k was sold. There's nobodies with $100,000, $300,000, $500,000 sitting there. 10 years ago, we did maybe $1 million transaction in the company once a year. Now we do it once a day. It's all over the place. But remember this, in Deuteronomy 6:11, it says, "You will have houses filled with goods you did not provide, wells you did not dig, and vineyards and olive groves you did not plant. Then when you eat and are satisfied. The point is, you didn't do anything to get any of this. You're asked to be harvesting all of it. How much of this do you want? You didn't have to plant those, getting those people married. You didn't have to help them have kids. You didn't have to provide the wherewithal to make sure they had life insurance needs. You didn't do anything to plant those 401ks or inheritance money. Your job is to harvest it. How much do you want? And on top of that, in a title study, The Working World's Broken Workplace, the results show that a staggering 85% of workers of the world say they hate their jobs. The author said, I'm not making this up. It's not that they don't like their jobs, they hate their jobs. So when you call somebody up, don't think he's got a good job and he loves it. No, he hates it. Mm. And it's getting worse. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the last 5 months, 151,000 people have lost their jobs. Unemployment shot up 5% in the last 90 days in America. And people don't like their jobs, fruitless jobs, and they're going to jobs they hate. That's not the purpose God created them, to go to jobs they hate. Yet, we don't think anybody wants to join Primerica. It's a recruiting bonanza out there. It's a sales bonanza out there. Mutual fund bonanza out there. The question is, on the next slide, please, do you want to approach this harvest? Warren Buffett said, opportunities come infrequently. When it rains good, put out the bucket, not the thimble. How many people are saying, I'll take a thimble full, please? Just give me a thimble full. I just need enough to pay some bills. Some people say, no, if I can make $50,000 a year. Some people say, if I can make 100. Very few people want to make more than $100,000 a year off this. And this system will pay you whatever you want. Whatever you put out, a thimble, a bucket, a 55-gallon drum, a pond, a lake, a ocean, how much do you want? The guy's making the big money wanted to make the big money. So now your question is, next one, please. In America today, everybody cannot wait for this vaccine to happen so that they are protected at least for 1 year until they get another vaccine shot from this epidemic called COVID out there. What if you can have a financial vaccine that is already here, proven, paid for? All you have to do is accept it, and it will protect your family for the next 100 years from any kind of financial virus, financial disease, or financial illness. For the next 100 years. Like Virginia Carter, my upline, made $20 million in overrides off me while she was alive. Since she's been dead, she's made $7 million. Her family has $7 million. Last month, their family made $110,000. None of them are licensed, Alex. None of them. For the next 100 years. I wish I could get everybody on this call, look them in the eye, and shake them and say, do you understand what I just said? Are you ready to take the financial vaccine that I've taken, Virginia has, Mike Sharp has, all the people that you would like to be like? Because you not only give the vaccine yourself, but your whole family. Do you want your friends inoculated? Again, no matter what financial, you think, imagine a financial disease that's going to affect Mike Sharp making $300,000 a month and hadn't had a base shop in 15 years, 20 years, whatever it was. See that? Because he took the financial vaccine. What's a financial vaccine? Recruiting 10 people a month. When you start recruiting 10 team a month, the vaccine is starting to come into you. When you get about 20, 25, it is fully into you and you're protected. And I just wish I can give you an incredible lesson on recruiting. I love recruiting. I'm here to recruit. I love it more than I can tell you. Next one, please. Again, are you ready? Are you approaching this harvest? These are what are called combines. They're big as a house. They could eat up all kinds of stuff and package them. And the question is, are you approaching this with a little lawnmower saying, I don't need much? Or man, I'm going to have not only a combine, I'm going to have RVPs who have RVPs who have RVPs who have RVPs. Ian Proctor's the seventh to me. Seventh generation, I don't make any money on them. I've got hierarchies like you wouldn't believe all over this country. I got more people retired than 95% of all the people in Primerica have RVPs. Because, you know, they've been around a long time. I've had more RVPs die and leave $150,000 a year income to their families for the rest of their lives. The question is, do you get it? And what do I have to say? And I apologize ahead of time. I never do a good job in these areas, Alec. I do my best, but I'm stunned at how little sometimes people want their life to be better, and how little they care about another human being who's struggling too. But that's what we've got, especially with COVID right now. We're not in touch with anybody. All right, so the next one, please. That's it. That should be the last one. The thing I want to talk to you about, Alex, is this book called The Last Love Letter. Not Last Love Letter, did that one, but the Locker Room Notes. Let me show you a little history on this book. Is you may or may not have it, but it's in 1982, it dawned on me whenever we were at Art Williams' meeting that what he was teaching us was profound, and that this, once he said those words, he'll never say those same words again. He might say other words down the come. So I started taking notes, and I have notebook, and every time I fill up the notebook, I got another one, only of art, nothing else in there. And then when I do a series of events in my life, I finally had to do the book. Because no one else, I couldn't get my wife to do it. She couldn't read my writing, and it was laborious. It was hundreds and hundreds of hours of dictation and fixing up and correcting. And I mean, I put about 400 hours into this thing or more. And so I got the book and I sent it to Art Williams, and he said, Bill, it's the greatest thing. I've been wanting to do this, but there's a chapter you haven't got in your book that needs to be in your book. Because you didn't start taking notes till later. He said, we did a meeting in Unicoi, Georgia in June of 1977, a first A.O. Williams meeting of the 85. And this was he was setting the constitution of what we're going to be doing with this company. And he said, I'm going to send that to you. And what we did was we typed it up. And it's the first chapter of this book is the actual notes Art used to address us, Alec. Think about that. So this is gold. Yes, and so when you look at this book, the first 12 pages are all you need to really master. And the rest is just an explanation of how to work with people and everything else. But if we go to that, PowerPoint now, the next PowerPoint, on page 7 of this book, this is what he wrote. Now understand, right here in the middle is the formula. It's the Coca-Cola formula. Doesn't seem like much. Citigroup paid $1 billion to get these 5 points right here. $1 billion. Right there, those 5 points. This is how you build a mega hierarchy. This is everything you need to know. If you master these 5 points, you're going to explode and have hundreds and hundreds of RVPs and make tens of millions of dollars over the course of your life, if not a year. Now, what is it? You grow through multiplication. Now, understand that. Very few people do that. Most people grow through addition. And the company isn't even doing it this way, Alex. The company is telling you to go through addition. Recruit somebody, get them licensed. Ain't that something? No, recruit somebody and get 3 people for them. Now, the company is challenging us to do that, and that's called a field training bonus. But immediately, you have to understand your job is to get them an RVP and get them 100 people. You got to get them 100 people in their hierarchy within 6 months. The third one is field train. Now, what does that mean? If you go to it, it's not on here, but if you go to page 9, it explains field training. Field training is getting a person to somebody's house, recruit that person, he takes it to somebody else's house, he takes it, you recruit 4 deep. The whole purpose of recruiting somebody, Alex, is to take somebody 4 deep. Like you said, drive each recruit 4 deep. Now, Alex, look at me.
Yes, sir.
What percentage of the time in your Primerica career have you purposely taken somebody 4 deep?
Very low.
See what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Where do you think Mario Arizon was? 4 deep.
4 deep.
Miguel Illich, 4 deep. The last 2 RVPs he produced, 4 deep. Keith Otto, 5 deep. Assad Faraj, 4 deep. I can go on and on and on and on. Rarely does anybody come as a first recruit. You know, we had an RVP meeting with about 1,000 people in it. And a guy stood up and said, if your upline, the one who personally recruited you is still in the business, stand up. Out of 1,000 people in that room who are RVPs, 9 of us stood up. Which means it's never, Alex, the first person. Never. But guess what we do? We never take anybody 4 deep. And I'll talk about 4 deep in a second or two. Then he said, explode your team to 81 recruits by 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. Now, what does that mean? You're supposed to take him 3 deep, recruit 3 for him, get 9 for them, 27 for them, 81 for them. See that difference?
Mm-hmm.
The point is, we don't do that. We recruit somebody and hope to get them trained, licensed, so they can go out there selling for us. Because we have come into Primerica. You know, an interesting thing about Alex, our business, is nobody in the world, in the insurance investment business, has ever copied us. Nobody. Why haven't they? For the same reason, very few people inside Primerica copy art. Very few people do this, even though it's in black and white. And this book has been out 3 years. Why? Because people down deep don't want to have to do this. What they want to do is recruit 5 people, train them. They each make 3 sales a month each, and they can override those 15 sales a month every month and make money. So they want to train people to make. Alex, have you ever trained somebody, taught them, trained them, expecting them to make sales on their own, and they don't do it?
All the time.
Have you ever said, I get all these people and no one's doing anything?
Sure.
See, the reason why it doesn't work. The only thing that works is this page right here. Let's have the next one, please. J. Paul Getty said, instead of having 100% off one, it is better to have 1% off 100. Our job is to show people who only know 100% income off of one. They only know 100% income off of Alex. Our job is to show Alex, wouldn't you like to have 100 people just like you working? You see? Next one, please. This is the biggest thing right there that we want to show people. Sam Walton said you must learn to multiply yourself so that you can be in more than one place at a time. Most people in Primerica don't know how to multiply themselves. They only know how to add, because any sales company in America, we're the only one that encourages people to multiply. You work at my steel company, we had I was in the Southeast. We only had 110 salespeople in the United States. We didn't need any more. And so they didn't encourage me to recruit. But when you have 120 million families underinsured and 65 trillion in rollovers, you want to recruit as many people as you can and get them people and those people. I don't want people to get a license, Alex. I want them to get people. And I want those people to get people who get people. And in that, everyone's going to get licensed. Next one. Compounding is the ninth wonder of the world if you use it, Albert Einstein said. Very few people understand the power of compound interest, let alone the power of compound people. That's why we have to introduce it and teach it to people. Alex? Listen to this, 1910, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, and the rest of the industrialists have been the unconscious agents in necessary work of systematizing and organizing productive industry. They will be succeeded by the agents of the multipliers who will organize the machinery of distribution. You ever heard us be told that we're a distribution company? I thought we're financial services. Interesting point. At every meeting we went to in the early days, we went to Atlanta every 6 or 8 weeks, and Art would say, we're probably not going to make it. We're probably not going to make it, but if we do, it's going to be big. Probably about a year later, someone said, Art, if we don't make it, what are we going to do? Listen to what he said. We're going to get a hotel, get a whiteboard, draw the circles, and then find a product to put in those circles. Because we know how, we're not an insurance company or a mutual fund. We know how to build distribution. See, our people don't know how to build distribution. They know how to market financial products. That's why they're not running RVP factories. But that's my job, and your job is to keep telling that story. Alex?
Yes, sir.
Our game plan, Art Williams said, this is straight from the A.L. Williams way. RVP is the starting line. Build a company within a company. You're not an RVP. You're a company, Alex. You don't have RVPs. You have other companies. Be your own boss. Promote RVPs. That's got to be the goals. Have 7 to 10 first-generation RVPs and help them have 7 to 10 first-generation RVPs. We're an RVP factory. Your job when you talk to somebody is to get them to be an RVP by getting the people and getting those people. Next one. Art Williams on the Ian Pruckner podcast. This is where I took a copy from. He talked about, why would Art Williams talk about this? I put in, he talked about 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3. He doesn't want you to make people salespeople. He said, we're not in the sales business. We're in the override business. No one comes here to sell. Everyone comes here to override. Next one, please. I got to go through this pretty quick. I'm talking too much. Even Einstein, he's the one that came up with the principle. But it's brilliant. Why? Because compounding is the 9th wonder of the world. And it's not just money, it's people and RVPs. Alex? Art said they must believe they only need 3. We don't want to take that. You got to come in and work hard, really, really hard. It's hard. It's not that hard if you do the right things with the 3 people he has. And he's got 100 names in his cell phone. Tell me he doesn't know 3 people. Alex, next one. Again, this was Art's favorite page. He showed this to us every meeting. Why? It's astounding. If you get 2 people and you multiply them, 2, 4, 8, 16, you end up with 256. But if you get 1 more, 3 who get 3, 6,561. But if you get 1 more, why do you think this is astounding to Art Williams? Because he said, you're going to see this in a second. 2 things blew his butt out of the water. Rule of 72 and a power of multiplication of people. Alex? And this is Larry Weidell's hierarchy back in 1982. Look at that. I mean, he's an RVP factory. If your life depended on someone making a sale, would it be Mike Sharp? Would it, Alex? Would it be Larry Weidell? Nope. You know what? But they know how to build a hierarchy. Mm-hmm. See the difference there? Next one, please. Never forget what blew your butt out of the water. And it's got to be the rule of 72 and the power of the multiplying people. Next one, please. What blew your butt out of the water? Multiplication and compounding of people. Next one. Rule of 72, we all know that. We introduced compounding first with the rule of 72. That's how you introduce it. Next one. Then you show them a penny a day, how that one penny goes to $5 million in 30 days. They got to see this second before you introduce the power of compounding people. Next one. And now you introduce them the power of 3. You've got to show in sequence. Rule 72, penny a day, power of 3. And Art Williams in 2011 at the convention said, here's how we did it. 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3. Were you there, Alex? You heard him say it. Yep. You heard him say it. But how many times have we taken somebody 4 deep, 3 each? We don't do it. You know why? It's not being taught. You know, I do a class like this. I'll go somewhere and people say, you're the only one talking about this. This is not healthy. For me to be the only one. When was the last time you saw anything like this, Alex?
Never.
Isn't that scary?
Yes, sir.
Art Williams says it right. The gold mine is overrides. Teach your people to build a team. I'm changing that. Teach your people to build an army. Next one, please. You're only one recruit away from an explosion. It could be the next person you talk to. You know what we discovered? We now know where that one recruit is that will create an explosion, Alec. You know what that is? 4 deep. 4 deep. If you take somebody 40, what I tell somebody when I recruit them is, I'm going to take you 4 deep in a week. If not, I'll buy you a steak dinner. Alex, how deep were you?
I am a 6 to Hector.
How about from the person that recruited? Obviously, you came to Hector from replacement.
Yes, sir. 3rd, 3.
See, why weren't you weren't the first? It's never the first.
Right.
Rarely the second.
Yes, sir.
But it's always 3rd or 4th. All right. All right, we're going to finish with that. You can you don't have to go through any more of that. If we have any more slides, it's not necessary. You know, I have to talk about this next subject because, to me, it is the Achilles heel of most of us that struggle financially. We come here to make money, but we're embarrassed to talk about it. I came here to make money. And Art Williams said, making money electrified me. And most people have a bad relationship with money. They didn't work to make money, to fulfill their lives and to be happy and enjoy their work. 85% of people hate their jobs, so that must not be working out too good. The number one reason to work is to make money. You came here to make money. You know, what's the number one reason people leave? Because they're not making any money. So we have to get our relationship with money straight. And understand that we're in a money-making business. You're here to make money. You're here to accumulate money. And unless you do that, you won't build a hierarchy. Art Williams said it on page 75, Ecclesiastes in the Bible, 10:19 says, money answers all things. And to get wealthy, it's better to get to build an organization than it is to invest money. So you want to make money, lots of it, as much as you can, and I'll talk about that in a second, by having financial goals. But we all come here with all kinds of myths. And in churches today, you make too much money, you go to what? Hell? And I always say, well, can you tell me exactly how much money that is? Because I want to make $1 less. Money doesn't buy you happiness. You can't take it with you. How much is enough?
Right.
So we all come with these cliches that bring bombarded with our teachers, our parents, the school systems, churches, government. Oh, government hates rich people, hates them. But who pays all the taxes? As California's going to find out, Hector left California. Mike Sharp left California. Rick Susie left. That's a lot of tax dollars.
No.
When you hate the rich, you're going to leave. Why? Because you want to tax the snot out of them and tell them how bad human beings they are because they're making all this money. Kelly Clarkson, a famous singer, said, when she heard money doesn't buy happiness, she said, where I am, only the rich people say that. So what is your relationship with making money? What's your attitude about making money? And most of us, again, have these cliches, and our parents are afraid to want us to want to make money. So therefore, they kind of downplay it. But let me just say this. Billy Graham said, if a person gets his attitude toward money straight, it will help straighten out almost every other area of his life. Art Williams said, making money electrifies me. How do you think he's a billionaire? Bo Adams said, people have no idea how money motivated Art Williams is. See, if people are making a lot of money and you're not, you have a poverty consciousness, not a money consciousness, if you read Think and Grow Rich. And I want everyone, when you leave this meeting, get on the internet and order a book called The Wealth Choice. I've read it 5 times. I got one more book I'm going to finish, and then I'm going to reread it again. The Wealth Choice by Dennis Kimbrough. And he interviewed all these people who are wealthy, and it is profound. It is a masterpiece. It's so quotable, it's unbelievable. But what's in your head is in your wallet. If you're not thinking about making money, I came to Primerica, A.O. Williams, and I made up my mind I was going to make money. I was tired of not having. So I was going to make money. I had 3 basic goals in my Primerica career. I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 40. I was 29 when I joined. I wanted to make $100,000 cash a year in my 5th year. And I wanted to have $100,000 put away in my 5th year. Those are my financial goals. And Alex, that's what I lived, eat, and slept with. And money doesn't go where it's not wanted. If you're not making a lot of money, like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, it's because that's not what you want. You'd like to make that kind of money, but if you don't, it's not the end of the world either. Napoleon Hill said, nothing brings a man so much suffering and humility than poverty. I read this the other day from Dennis Kimbrough. He said, the best thing you can do for the poor is to make sure you don't become one of them. A man named Rabbi Daniel Lapin, who wrote another masterpiece. It's called Thou Shalt Prosper, or the 10 Commandments of Making Money, which I've read 6 times. And Rabbi Lapin, I've listened to his podcast every week. I'm a student of Rabbi Lapin. He said, everybody needs a rabbi. He's my rabbi, although I'm not Jewish. He said, money is a system of distilling the very essence of a person's usefulness to his fellow man. In other words, making money is a measurement of how much you're serving your fellow man. So you have to understand that making money comes as a result of doing something good for somebody else. Rabbi Lapin said, God created business to force us to be good to one another. And if I walked into your office right now, Alex, do you have a $100,000 ring?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a symbol, isn't it? If I look at that ring, it's a symbol of what you earned. But how'd you earn that money? By doing something good for other people.
Mm-hmm.
So all certificates are indications of the fact that you did something good for somebody else and made their life better. The word serve means, you hear this all the time at church, be a servant. You've got to serve. Don't be served, come to serve. That means making somebody's life better. So if you're making somebody's life better, you're serving them, and certificates are given to people to indicate to the world that they have served other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbi Lapin said, if you open your pocket and you pull out money and you did not steal it, you got it by serving other people. And money are certificates of performance.
Mm.
And the more certificates of performance you have in your pocket says that you served your fellow man. He came to Dallas one day, and I've been to every time he comes to Dallas, I have him either speak to our group or I just treasure him as a human being and what he's taught me. And anyway, he goes around Christian churches and he preaches that tells them it's okay to make money. Because most Christians don't want to make money, so they don't have any money, so they can't tithe. And churches don't have any money to help other people. And he said to people, I had about 3 of my guys with me. He said, you want to make more money next year than you did last year? Raise your hand. I had 2 hands go up. We were the only ones with our hands up, Alec.
Wow.
He said, oh, the rest of you are too pious to want to make money.
Mm.
He says, if you break your leg as a child, are you going to limp on that leg for the rest of your life, or are you going to get it fixed? I'm going to get it fixed. He said, having a broken relationship with money needs to be fixed.
Mm.
It's not permanent. Well, I just never grew up with money. We got to fix that. Well, my church said, you got to fix that. It's funny how churches say you shouldn't make a lot of money, but at the end, what do? They pass the hat. And you go to churches, and what do they say? We're going to have a love offering. Mm. We're going to ask you to become a partner with our ministry. They want your money. Parents say, I'm not money motivated, but I want my kid to get a scholarship. Why? It's free money, so I don't have to pay for it.
Right.
And so Rabbi Lapin said, if you ask somebody, what do you do for a living? You should be saying, what problems in people's lives do you solve? Because we're all problem solvers. To prove it, Alex, when you join Primerica and you get licensed, what do they send you in the mail? A solution number.
Yep.
What's a solution number for? To solve people's problems. We don't think recruiting them solves their problem, but recruiting people solves their problems. And Rabbi Lapin says, why does it surprise us when a good and loving God rewards us financially for serving his people? So I can go on and on and on and talk about it's okay to make money, but I want to recommend that your folks on this call get on a money diet. Meaning, for the next 6 months, the only books you should read are money books, whether it's Think and Grow Rich or The Wealth Choice. There's one out that I love. It's called God Wants You to Be Rich. He's the author, by the way, is right there in Phoenix. And another one that's a great one. It's kind of a bad title. It says, I Am a Badass at Making Money. Excellent book. Because you've got to start thinking about it. Alex, have you ever said to your guys, what are you going to do this month? And they'll say, 20 by 20. And then you ask them the question, how much money are you going to make? Where do they go? You see, no, you decide how much money you want to make, and you decide how much money you make based upon how much money you want to have put away in 10 years. Art Williams, at the end of every session that he does a calculation of becoming a cash millionaire in 10 years by putting away $4,000 a month. So it goes like this. Why? Alex, you did 20 by 20 last month. Why? Well, because I wanted to make $15,000. You see, you did 20 by 20 so you can make 15. You did 20 by 20 so you can be number one on the leaders bulletin and you can win the trip to Hawaii, or you can get a ring, or you can get a t-shirt. You want to make $15,000. So Alex, why do you want to make $15,000? Well, because I can live, pay taxes, and save $4,000 a month. Now, why do you want to save $4,000 a month? So I can be worth $1 million in 10 years. Now, why do you want to be worth $1 million in 10 years? So I can be worth in $2 million in 16, $4 million in 22, $8 million in 28. Now, why do you want them to have $8 million net worth? So I can get 10% of my money and get $800,000 a year and what? Have nobody thumb on me. Right. See, remember Art Williams? He said he wanted $300,000. You heard that story? You've got to, your goal's got to be net worth. Your goal should never be making money. Making money should be the plan, not the goal. You ask people, what's your goal this year? Make 100,000. Why? I want to get the ring. Interesting thing. You never ask somebody, tell somebody to get the, you're going for the ring. See, the mind has got to be talked to. It doesn't understand ring, doesn't understand big. It understands numbers. I want to make $100,000. That's what you tell your mind, not I want the ring. I'm getting another diamond. I want to be SVP. Doesn't understand all that stuff. We're starting to wind down now, Alex. And again, I'm privileged to be able to be on this call. I don't take it for granted that somebody wants to hear what I have to say. And I like to tell people, if I'm not quoting Art Williams, don't listen to me. I'm a student of art. I talk to him on a pretty regular basis. To me, he's in the pantheon of great business entrepreneurs. He didn't invent something. He just verbalized those 5 steps, and that's what Citigroup paid him $1 billion to get, and all the people that enact those 5 steps get wealthy. But the other side, whenever I needed I needed to get my business going. Whenever I felt like we were flat, whenever I felt like I wasn't growing like I should, I had to decide, Alex, that I'm going to get back to my winning with my heart. Art Williams said, you win with your heart, not your head. And so many people are trying to win in Primerica with their heads. You know, it's like the old movie where this politician gets up and he's got a fancy speech, and he looks on the crowd, puts his speech down and says, can I just talk to you from my heart? Sometimes you have to put down your presentation and say, can I just talk to you from my heart? And Art Williams said, you win with your heart, not your head. Which means this, it's got to come from deep down inside, somewhere that most people never go to, because they're afraid of being vulnerable. They're afraid of being transparent and being looked down upon because they get emotional about what we're trying to do for people. And I heard this quote, I love it. It says, better to have heart and no words than words and no heart. Better to have heart and no words than words and no heart. You've heard Art say this. It's how you feel about what you do. And no one cares what you know until they know that you care. And again, blessed people, blessed people. Do you feel like you're blessed to be here? See, call somebody up, because like I tell people, don't make a prospecting call. I hate that term. Don't make a Zoom call. Make a care call. Call people up and say, Alex, the reason I'm calling, because Danny Chamorro said he cares about you and how life's going to turn out for you, and that I should call you because we're a caring company. I mean, we don't talk to people like that because we're afraid of being laughed at or being vulnerable. You know, I like you started out, we're excited to have you, Bill. And most people, I'm excited. You know something? People are not looking for excited people. They're looking for honest, sincere people that care. And I don't care what you know until I know that you care. Disarm people saying stuff like, Alex, can I be dead serious with you for a second? Alex, can I talk to you like I would my best friend or brother? Alex, I care what's going to happen to you and your family. And that's why I'm here tonight. That's why I want to talk to you. I want to explain something that's really made a difference for me. And I read this, and I'm going to read it again. But this is what we're supposed to be like. And it's called a holy moment. See, a holy moment is when you are being the person God created you to be, and you're doing what you believe God is calling you to do at that moment. So you're not on an appointment, you're at a holy moment. He says, it is an instance where you're set aside self-interest, personal desire, and what you feel like doing, or would rather be doing, and embrace what you believe bring the most good for the most people at that moment. See, I think the greatest gift we can have is to sit in front of somebody and tell our story with our heart, our soul, our mind, our strength. And our business has a soul, and it's in you. And your purpose in life comes out when you realize you're ordained by God to be there. You're not just in this thing. You're not just a salesperson. You're not just selling insurance. We're here because that person has problems that need to be solved. They die too soon, live too long. They have problems with 100% income off of one. 85% hate their jobs. And we have a cure for it. And before we get into the questions and questions that you asked me to do, you know, I was in Hawaii. Carol and I, we've been married for forever. Got 4 wonderful, great kids. One's in the business, and got 9 grandkids, 2 adopted, which I'm very, 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 very proud of. My daughter for wanting other children who wouldn't have the life that she could give them, she and her husband. And we were on the first floor, so it was the pink building, whichever one. And underneath the walkway, and Mike Landrum was underneath. I can remember his voice. And he had his mom and his dad with him. And he said, Mike, I never thought I could ever be in Hawaii. And Mike, Mike, wow. Just wow, Mike. All I can say is wow. And you know, it hit me that everybody wants a wow life, Alex. Don't you want a wow life? You know, when ordinary meets extraordinary, wow happens. So you are ordinary. But when you have the extraordinary system of the multiples and compounding people, extraordinary happens. And I always dreamed of taking my family to a great resort, something that you read about in a magazine, and have him look around and just wonder when he kept saying, wow, wow. Last November, I took my whole family. There was 9
Alex, you there?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had to put you on my.
It's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. You know, don't we all want a wow life? And I just wrote some things down. I wanted my parents to see what I achieved in my life, shake their heads with tears in their eyes and say, wow. I want to travel around the world and see things that no one else would see and say, wow. I want to attempt something in my life that most people couldn't do and quit because they weren't tough enough. And when they found out I'm still in the business, go, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I want to go to heaven and have our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, welcome me with, well done, good and faithful servant. And by the way, Bill, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you want a wow life? When ordinary meets extraordinary, wow happens. Folks, is your job a wow? Is your performance a wow performance? Are you giving your family the wow life that they could have? Are you giving your mom and dad a trip to Hawaii or a trip? That's a wonderful place. Folks, you know, many years ago, I got a phone call on a Friday night that my dad had a stroke years and years ago. And you know that phone call's coming. Don't you want to at least give them a trip of a life before that happens? Or one of the greatest thrills in Primerica is when someone says they retired your mother or father. And Dad, I want you to quit your job and come here and work for me. Do what? Whatever you want to do. And get them off the job. Buy them a new home. Buy them a new car. Take them on a trip of a lifetime. You see, our system can create a wow life for you. And it's just waiting for you to say, I want that wow life. And when you start double-digit recruiting, that's when wow happens. So, Alex, that's what I've got. Any questions you have, I'd be happy to say
yes,
something.
sir. We're going to have a bunch of them, but we'll take a few. And I forgot to mention this, sir, but whoever you see here as panelists, they're either RVPs or they're part of our core team. So whoever would like to ask a question first, you can go ahead and go now. Who'd like to go first?
Hi, Mr. Orender. My name is Bianca Cano. I'm direct to Alex Santana. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. What I want to ask is, because sometimes when we prospect people or we get people right into the business, we sell them on that part-time opportunity at first, make an extra 1,000 to 2,000. And so what would you do? Is that how you would bring them in and then expand their mindset to the type of life that you can potentially have? Or what would you do?
What did page 7 say to do?
What did who?
Page 7.
Page 7. It said to recruit 4 deep and to bring more people in.
Get 3 people. Get them 3 people. You see, you're sitting there again. They want to make 1,000 or 2,000 a month, which means I want to get them licensed and help them make 1,000 or 2,000 a month selling our products. You hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Get them 3 people immediately. And in fact, the company now, in a brilliant stroke, said we're going to start a field training bonus. You get them 3 people, and all 3 people buy the product. Guess what they get? $300 bonus.
Mm-hmm.
But then what do you do with those 3 people?
Same thing.
Same thing. And what do you do with those 9 people?
Same thing.
See,
Get them.
what happens is we get stuck in, they want to make $1,000, $2,000 a month part-time. Well, the best way to make money part-time is overrides. We think making money means selling. Again, I've had people license and they made some sales and then they run out of market and they quit. We got to say, I can make you $1,000, $2,000 a month in overrides. Again, I'm going to get you 100 people in 6 months using 392781. Very few people do this. Very, very, very few people. Even my own base shop, or people in my hierarchy, they don't get our system because it requires you to make something happen with his 3 people. My job's to get him 3 people in his list. He's got 100 names in his cell phone. Tell me you can't get 3 people. Give me names of 3 people right now. And text 3 people right now, call me, and then hand me the phone. Or let's get them on a 3-way. Or let's get 3 friends on a Zoom in the next 30 minutes. But what do? We don't do that because we're afraid of losing them. We're afraid of pushing them. And then you find out that, you know, if you're not encouraging them and being bold, they end up quitting anyway. So no, your job is to get them $1,000 or $2,000 a month in overrides. And that requires no motivation on their part because you're the one that gets them to 3. You're the ones that get those 3. You're the ones that get those 3. You're the ones that do it all instead of what we call crock-potting people, where you recruit them, you stick around, and maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't, maybe they'll get motivated, maybe they'll get licensed. What do you have to do to motivate people? How do you get them to get a license? You know, well, you know, all that stuff wears me out. Here's how you get somebody licensed. Get 4 people underneath them. Someone's going to get licensed.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that was perfect. I love that. We talked about with making money with the overrides and that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Hey, Mr. Orender, thank you so much. It's Jonathan and Susie here. We're Regional Leaders Direct to Alex and Sandra. Man, it's so good to put a face to your audios. I listen to your audios all the time.
Oh, thank you.
Now, on one of them, you said something that I was really pondering on. And you were talking about going RVP, and there's a right way to do it. And there's terminologies that people use that you're against. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Well, I don't like people saying I'm going for the contract. You know, that's a sales mentality. Our business and all the successful people in our business have become successful because of something called replacement. Art William, I was the second person in company history to give up a replacement. The first one was Rusty Crossland. And that was at Waddell & Reed. And then when I moved to Dallas, I left all my hierarchy behind. And I learned very, very quickly the greatest, most brilliant compensation package in all Primerica history called replacement. And all the people that you admire and how great they are and how wonderful they are and how all because they know how to take great replacements. And as an example, Frank Dillon has 9 first-generation RVPs, all from one man, replacement. The newest $1 million earner, or soon to be Mika Saunders, has 5 first-generation RVPs, 4 from replacement. Bill Whittle has 7 direct RVPs from Collis Temple.
Mm.
And that one thing made him an extra $1 million a year from one guy, replacement. And so if you came to my base shop right now and said to anybody in my base shop, what are you going to give up in a replacement? They laugh at you. And they smile and say, what do you mean? All Bill wants. What do you mean? All Bill wants. Why? Because when I go RVP and promote an RVP, I can take all I want. See, so you only give up once, but you get forever. So a cornerstone part of our system is giving up a great replacement, as your upline said. What does he look for in promoting an RVP? Mike Sharp, he says, a killer replacement. And that's what I look for. I'm not worried about premium recruits. I'm worried about what's that replacement. When you get your replacement set, you're close to RVP. But you can't go RVP by doing the company guidelines and doing $9,000 a month in personal premium, manufacturing these 6 districts. What's a district? And, 2 legs, no more than 2 legs. Well, what's a leg? 1 RL. What's an RL? You know any RLs doing 0? I do. I can give you a bunch. It's not code numbers, because I can give you 100 code numbers doing nothing. See, so it's not code numbers. It's not legs. It's not titles. It's actual people that can produce recruits premium on our team. So you should have at least 3 people who are producing at least 3x3 to 4x4 a month each as a replacement. And but I understand, if you give a bad replacement, you are sentencing yourself for the rest of your life to taking bad replacements. And you can't work hard enough and long enough to keep promoting first-generation RVPs without replacement.
Wow, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Orender, good evening. My name is Josh. My wife and I, Patty and I, we're actually direct to Alex and Sandra. Super grateful to have you on this call and be able to listen to these golden nuggets and just the overall message. Super grateful. I wanted to ask you.
Can I ask you a question?
What was that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's your goal to how much money you're going to make this month?
My goal this month is to make $30,000.
As an RL?
No, I'm an RVP.
All right. How much did you make last month?
We made $19,900.
Why do you want to make 30?
I feel that making 30 it's $1,000 a day, and I think that $1,000 a day we can put more aside and kind of make up for the years that we didn't save the way we should have. And I've heard a lot of people say that at $1,000 a day, life starts to really change.
Well, again, too, if you make 30,000, how much can you save?
We'd probably be able to save about 15 of it.
Imagine $15,000, which means in 10 years, you're going to have $4 million put away. Ain't that something?
It is.
That's where you got to be thinking. You see, you got to be thinking these conversations, talking to your people about making money, not RVP, and getting double digit, and what are you going to do this month, and how much premium, how much money are you going to make? Because when you're thinking making money, they're thinking making money. And how do you make money here? Recruits and premium. All right.
Right.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Could you ask me your question again? I'm sorry.
No, that's I appreciate it. I really intrigued as to what did your day schedule, work ethic look like when you first moved to Dallas and you picked up those 10 directs?
Well, for one, understand that when someone says, well, what did you do? Before I moved there, what do you think I did for 6 months before I moved here? Ask everyone I knew, who do you know in Dallas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Referrals. I'm a
Yeah.
referral junkie. I get names at every interview. Every interview I got names. And so my job was to have 10 one-on-ones a week. That's my whole goal, because it was recruit 2 to 3 directs a month, help those 2 or 3 go 4 deep. So that's 10 a month that I'm involved with. And I'm the one writing the business. So I'm writing 10 apps a month. So for 8 years, I recruited 2 directs a month, drove it down 4, put my name on $10,000 a month in personal premium. And then guess what happened 3-4 months later? Someone else popped out to do that. And 2 months later, somebody else popped out. And a month later, somebody else. And I just kept doing that and doing that. And we had Omar on a call the other day. He did it for like 5 years. I did it for 8 years because of all the bumps and grinds and changes in the company back then. But your job is to be responsible for at least 2 to 3 directs a month, 10 team a month that you're involved with, and write $10,000 a month in personal premium from that if they're all right market.
Yeah.
And so now with Zoom, you should have 40 Zoom calls a week. You should be on 40 Zooms a week because you don't have to leave your house. And you can have, that's only what, about 4 a day, 5 a day, whatever that is, 6 a day.
Yeah.
And you can do that, 2 at a time, 3 at a time. Why don't you get 3 friends on a Zoom call in the next hour? You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we're succeeding so much today, because of Zoom. If we'd had Zoom back then, imagine where we'd be.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Orender, and how do you like, one of my frustrations I'd probably say is how long, like, getting people on your team to get it, like what you were saying, you keep doing it, and then someone pops out. Like, how do you work through that frustration?
Virginia Carter, when recruited me, her husband was an alcoholic, and she went to Al-Anon, which is spouse meetings for alcoholics, for 17 years. And she said, after 17 years, I figured out people are going to do what they're going to do. Think about this. What you're trying to do is get him to do something, aren't you? Let's assume this is the guy, right?
Mm-hmm,
Andy Young says, we spend all our time blow-torching their brains.
Yeah.
Versus lighting a fire under their butts.
Mm.
When you want to get somebody moving and they're not moving, say, give me 3 names, let me call them for you. And you drive it down 4. Instead of, what can I say? What can I do if I just get them to the convention? If I just get them to see it? The answer is, build a fire underneath them. That's all you can ever do for anybody. And then in there, if they don't want to do it, someone's going to do it. Larry Weidel is famous for saying he doesn't have anybody in the company today that he personally recruited. All of them came from people that quit.
Wow.
Like you. Who recruited you direct?
Actually, Alex Santana did.
Great. Did his upline quit? Alex, did your upline quit? Direct person above you?
No, sir, they have not.
How about the person above them?
Yes, they did.
All right. So what happens is, you see, quit, Alex. See that?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Don't fight when people quit. You got to fight it when you didn't do something to replace them.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
You got I heck on wheels that it goes 40. I will work underneath. You read Building a Business Dynasty, and what is that? Work the lowest one constantly.
It's funny, it's not another question, but I had heard that phrase of light a fire underneath them, but I just understood with you right now that it's recruit 3 people for them. So I appreciate it. This helps me so much. Thank you, Mr. Orender.
The way I do it, you're welcome, is I say, if I don't get at least 4 people for you deep, I will buy you a steak dinner. I commit myself. So now I get heck on wheels. So I interview you and you give me Alex. I call Alex. I'm calling Alex. I'm not waiting for you to do something. I do it. See, most of us recruit somebody, sit back and say, well, book up a bunch of appointments and I'll go with you. No, you've got to say, who are the top 3 people that I can call for you to get this thing working and prove it to you? Then I get those 3. Then guess what? I get 9 and then get 27. You got to build a hierarchy. Most people want a hierarchy built for them by part, and some people have done it. But Mario was the 4th generation. How many people have we lost, Alex, because we didn't take them forward?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone has a gold mine underneath them. We just never mine it.
Wow.
Someone said taproot. Whatever terminology you want to use, taproot's one of the, I don't ever use the word taproot, but I've got to drive it down 4 because that's where all the gold is. Always. Until you hit 4 generations, you don't know what's going to happen. When you hit 4 generations, you're 1 recruit away from an explosion. We now know where that recruit is, and that's 4 generations. We know it. If we know it's 4, why do we not take them 4? And everyone's got 4. Everyone's got best friend, best friend, best friend, best friend.
Mr. Orender, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe 1 or 2 more questions, guys. Anybody want to go next? Ready? They're all probably too nervous to ask.
I'm actually kind of nervous to ask, but I'll ask anyways. My name is Jasmine Ramirez. I'm a direct to Desiree and Cesar Navarro. I am so in awe of you, Bill. I've heard a couple of your tapes before, and one of the tapes that I always remember is you talk about being stuck in a rut. What kind of advice, especially for millennials right now, would you give us to get out of that rut?
Well, I think it's a great question, and thank you very much for the kind words. But I've been where everyone is, and Think and Grow Rich is very specific. Unless you create a money consciousness, a poverty consciousness will take over. And we don't dwell enough on reading our goals, writing our goals out, saying our goals out loud. You know, Art Williams said he had a goal of having $300,000, and he put it on a piece of cardboard, and it kept it by his telephone, and it kept him from quitting when he wanted to quit. On page 72 of my book called Think and Grow Rich, he said, write out your financial goal statement. And it goes like this: my goal is to make $100,000 a year. My faith is so strong that I can now see the money before my eyes. I can touch it. I can feel it. I possess it. It waits transferred to me at the time in a proportion to deliver the service I intend to render in return for it. Then state the service. I intend to work that plan when it's received. And I said that before I went to bed at night and when I wake up in the morning. Think about that. I wrote my goals out in the shower. And the reason why on the shower wall, or if you got a glass wall, and Omar talks about that every day. He writes out his goals. You've got to remind yourself over and over and over. And another thing is to get 100 $1 bills and to put money all over the place. You know, open up a drawer, you got money in there. You open up a cabinet, you got money there. Because you have to create this money consciousness. And whatever you think about, you're going to get. And most people, especially millennials, have no cash on them. As an example, how much cash do you have on you right now?
Oh, none right now.
None. See, so how can you have a money consciousness if you never have any cash? Because you use debit card, credit card, you never see money. And so you ask any of the really big guys, how much cash do you carry on them? It's somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 at all times. So what I encourage people to do is to go to the bank and get a $100 bill and carry it with you all the time. And next month, get another $100 bill and then another $100 bill till you get at least $500 to $1,000 at all times. And the question is, yeah, but what if I lose it? You can get more. You see the difference? If I lose it, then what? I see, that's a poverty mentality. And if you read, get on this diet I'm talking about, this money diet, writing out your goals every day as a habit to feed, because you can't. Well, in the old time they had these potbelly stoves that you stoked it in the morning and you stoked it at night. We've got to stoke ourselves with money goals. And most people don't think about money. They don't write the money goal down because at their jobs, nothing they can do. Whatever they pay me, they'll pay me. But here, you got to create a money consciousness. And lack of a money consciousness stalls people out and they get into a rut. I always like to tell people that the number one reason people leave Primerica is to go someplace where they don't have to think. Here you have to think. And you have to write out your goals. I write out my goals, like in a meeting like this. I'll write out, Art Williams taught me this. You know, like if your net worth, your goal is $1 million, write out 20 times $1 million, $1 million. Write out, if I had 10 first generation in 20 seconds and 60 thirds, how much money would I be making? I mean, stimulate your mind, and then it will magnetize you to attract people. Unless you want to make, if you want to make 100,000, you're never going to attract someone who wants to make 200,000. So get extremely friendly with money and making money and having money. But you've got to have money.
Huge.
You've got to do your net worth statement at least once a week. Do a financial statement with yourself. Write out 5 years from now. What's your financial statement? Where's your money? How much you're making and where's it coming from? Omar did it yesterday. It's amazing. And I've done it a zillion times. Your net worth statement. Where's your assets? What's your liabilities? 5 years from now, 10 years. Do an F&A every 3 months on yourself. And look at it and dwell on it. And think, well, what do I have to do? And then translate all that, Alex, into how many recruits a month do I have to make this dream come true? Because it's $500 in income base and first per recruit. We know this. There's a math number called 200 by 200. 200 by 200 is an amazing number to make $1 million a year. 200 by 200 through first is $1 million year income. But listen to this. 100 by 100 is what? $500,000. You do 100 by 100 through first recruits and premium. You're making $500,000. 50 by 50 is what? 250,000. 50 recruits a month by 50,000 through first, you're making $250,000 a year. Isn't that amazing? We've got the math here. You know, you folks that are not full-time Primerica, go to your job tomorrow and ask the boss, what's the math here for me to be making $200,000 a year and own this place someday? And why would you go someplace that doesn't have the math?
Right.
We've got the math here. Alex?
Yes, sir. And that's spot on. That's where we're at. And that's right about what we're doing through first. About 100 by 100, a little more than that. But that's where we're at, about 500,000.
It's accurate. It's amazing. And once we got the math, we attract people with the math.
Wow.
We got the Primerica math is amazing, and no one else has got it on this planet. But get yourself into a diet, read the, need nothing but money books the next 6 months, get $100 in your billfold, start putting money around. I really, if you can do it, pay cash for things for a while, because most people use a credit card, a debit card, and the mind doesn't understand money.
Yes, sir.
You can't be money motivated if you don't have any money.
Yes, sir. Wow.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Hey, Mr. Orender, thank you so much. Give me 1 second.
Real quick, before we go, sorry, I have a question. My name is Lisa Daly. Hi, Mr. Orender. So I want to make sure, because I definitely want to do the money diet. I want to make sure I have the right books, because you were going kind of fast. So you have one that says God Wants You to Be Rich. Is that by Alex Landon?
No, it's on myself. I will text it to Alex.
Yeah.
Thomas Anderson, I think it's called. He's
right.
a pastor. He's a pastor in
That's
God wants to be
Anderson.
rich. God, pardon me.
Yeah, it's the Anderson. He's a pastor with his dad out in Mesa.
Correct. Yep. And there's also God Wants You to Be a Millionaire. Unbelievable books. And of course, the Wealth Choice by far is unbelievable. And Thou Shalt Prosper, Think and Grow Rich, Badass at Making Money, Becoming a Millionaire God's Way. Thank you very much. These are diet books that will change your life.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Awesome.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much, sir.
So much, Mr. Orender. Hey, I have my son wants to say hi real quick. He's been dying to say hi, to meet you. Is he on here? Nate, where you at, buddy? He has special needs, but he's gonna do his best to say hi. Nate, are you on here? Mr. Orender, are you on? I think we have a bad connection.
Oh, is that there?
Did we lose everybody?
Is that his name, Alex?
Nathaniel. Yeah, Nathaniel's here. Say hi.
Right behind you.
Say hi.
Yeah, I am. Can you see me?
Thank you so much time for you. Man, you're amazing. I'm so tired. I'm gonna tell you. You got a moment. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time, he says.
You're welcome.
Wow, I was amazing when I was taking notes. Take your time, take your rest, have a good day, some stress, and don't work hard and get more. And trying to make RVP.
Go work hard and get more. Promote some RVPs.
All right.
God bless you. Have a great day.
God bless you. He said, have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nate. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Orender. We'll be in touch, sir. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Everybody send a quick message to Mr. Orender here in our chat. We hit 380 people. That is huge, guys. We have it recording. We'll get it out to everybody in the next probably 24 hours. Guys, let's go do something big, man. 33333. Send him a message. God bless you guys. We love you and we'll talk soon.
Can you turn it on?
I think it's this game. Okay, let's turn it on.